All right, I'm gonna go ahead. Okay, everyone, I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I would ask that you please set your cell phones to silent or off so it doesn't disturb the meeting. During the meeting, I would like to ask also to refrain from cheering and clapping and prodding people on, because we do have a few comments toward the end of the meeting. So with that being said, if you join me in the opening prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and remove your hats, please. Lord, thank you for bringing us all together tonight. We have a good crowd, and let us all work together for the betterment of this town. Let us voice our opinions with respect to each other. Let us hear what each other has to say, and let us use that in your wisdom to make decisions to make this town a better place to live. Let us all be appreciative of everything you provided for us, and in your name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty. All righty, so we will move into the public comment. The first section of public comment is for things pertaining to the agenda, and it's for a 3-minute time limit. And that first and only person would be Rick Galati. If you'd like to come up and state your name and make your comment for anything pertaining to the agenda tonight.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Commissioners. I'm back. I almost said it the way of I'm back. I was here so I just want to share some interesting and fun things about myself and my family and the purpose why I'm standing before you today. My mom is Betty Jo Lisk. Her parents, Baxter and Bernice Lisk, and their family were longtime residents of Swansboro. And as a matter of fact, I still have family that live here. One that lives across the street is my mother's sister, and actually one that lives next door to the mayor, Elaine Kellum, is a Lisk. And so I still got family that live here. The Lisk family moved here back in 1941 because of Camp Lejeune. And my great-grandfather and grandfather were plumbers. And they scored a contract with the government to do a lot of the plumbing in Camp Lejeune. Well, at the same time, they did plumbing work here in Swansboro. And they became the Swansboro and Camp Lejeune plumbers. They were responsible for all the plumbing on the new housing, Livingston Drive, right here, and did all the kitchen and bathroom plumbing for all those homes that are new construction at the time. But I just want to say, every time I go under my house when I have to, I still see the cast iron stuff from my great-grandfather and my grandfather. It's still under there. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's still there, and it just brings me back home. My grandfather, McNeely Lisk, was the mayor of Swansboro for 17 years back in the 50s and 60s. He brought public plumbing works and paved roads to Swansboro. In 1994, he brought the Mullet Festival to Swansboro in celebration of the completion of the White Oak River Bridge. There's a statue at Bicentennial Park that recognizes my grandfather. His name is on that statue, Mayor M.N. Lisk. You're so picky about so many little things, but we were so interested and concerned about preserving the history of Swansboro and the beauty of downtown. I listed on my resume half a dozen families and businesses down here that were satisfied and finally were able to do the work they wanted to do. Modifying a home, for example, Holmes and Preston Corner, they wanted to modify that corner that faces down to their bar entrance. And it took a little bit of work, a little bit of time, and they were able to finally get through us and make sure that, hey.
Adoption of agenda and consent items, and these items may be voted on as a single group without board discussion, or if so desired, the board may request to remove any of them and vote on them individually. Do I have a motion or discussion? Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right, so moved and so approved. Now we're going to move to appointments and recognitions. And Lisa, well, this is board appointments, I'm assuming, and this is what Mr. Galati was referring to.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Board of Commissioners. Tonight's board appointments is for consideration of one in-town seat for the Planning Board. Due to increased commitments, member Jerry Seaton resigned from his seat on the planning board effective July 23rd, which resulted in an in-town seat vacancy for the planning board. We currently have 9 in-town applications on file from citizens who have interest in serving, and these applicants provided in your materials. At this time, the board is asked to consider the in-town seat.
Okay. Any questions or any discussion? Anybody wants to nominate anyone or?
I'd like to nominate Frank Jones.
Okay. So Frank Jones is nominated. Any discussion or any second on that?
I'll give you a second on that nomination there,
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay. So guys, we have a second. Any discussion? Nope. So we'll go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so that passes unanimous. So Mr. Frank Jones will be appointed to the board, the planning board, and that takes care of that one. So we're
Thank
moving
you.
right along. We're going to have a quick meeting tonight, it seems like. Fire Department mid-year performance review, Chief Jacob Randall.
Mayor, Commissioners, citizens, thank you for letting me speak tonight. We sought out the accreditation and community risk assessment program with the Center of Public Safety Excellence, and one of those is transparency and accountability through This is our mid-year review going from January 1st to June 30th. So over that time, we've had some pretty significant accomplishments. This is not everything. We've had 4 personnel that have completed certification, which is a 6-month academy, whether it was nighttime or daytime, and actually one of those helped fill a vacancy that we had. Had one that finished their North Carolina EMT basic and actually just passed their oral boarding process to practice within Onslow County yesterday. And then we had 1 personnel that completed their fire inspector course and has obtained their probationary level 1 fire inspector certification, helping out with fire inspections. We've conducted 3 acquired structure burns, which accounted for over 200 personnel in training, 40 hours in total, but 40 times that 200. There was a total of 2 different states, North Carolina and South Carolina, and greater than 30 different counties throughout North Carolina that was also involved in those training exercises. And on top of that, we have completed over 1,700 hours. Some significant events that we experienced. We had the snowstorm this winter. We had the mass evacuation of a senior living facility at a 13 plus or minus acre wildfire in the contracted with. We were lucky enough to send a unit to the Black Cove wildfire in western North Carolina. Polls, however, have increased about 16% from where we were. We've added a lot of mutual and automatic aid agreements, building partnerships with different agencies around us, so that has increased also about 18%. Our overlapping incidents have increased about 12%, 159 where we were at 141. Something that we just started tracking is how many incidents would have been missed after hours if we didn't have the response from chief officers like myself or the other 2 assistant chiefs. In 2024, we had 18 of those that were answered after hours and did not have any calls in 2024 that were missed. 21 of that so far this year, effective response force. For all incidents, we've actually knocked off 48 seconds by working with the communication center, staying on them to dispatch us faster. We have knocked off 1 minute and 17 seconds in turnout time. We get out the door just based on some technological improvements that we've done stuff on the apparatus. We've knocked 1 minute and 3 seconds off on our travel times, and then 1 minute and 50 overall time of response. So 90% of the time in 2025, we have been able to answer a call from the time you call 911 to the time of the first arriving apparatus is completely there and ready to go to work, and almost. This was the effective response force I was discussing. As you can tell in the bottom section, we can't truly control that factor because we are the only 24-hour staff department between here and the city of Jacksonville. So we rely on the volunteer agencies. The only other agency that comes to us is 24 hours is across the bridge. So while we can work to get the alarm handled, you can see that it's actually going up 2 minutes and 49 seconds, relying on those other agencies to respond with us, which puts our guys on the scene working by themselves for a little bit until other assistance arrives. And full effective response force, which our standard that we would like to see is actually 15 minutes. We're nowhere close to that, and we're up 6 minutes and 11 seconds from getting everybody we need on the scene time somebody calls 911. Our day versus night response, we've knocked almost a minute off during the daytime. We've gone up a little bit at night. The fire's on the top and then EMS is on the bottom. We've improved a lot, which some of it, you see there's an 8-second one up there. 8 seconds is a lot, especially when you're talking about somebody that's experiencing cardiac arrest or stroke or heart attack. That we've started tracking, it's complete unit resource utilization time on an incident. So we've dropped 31 seconds of overall calls of how long a unit is tied up on scene. Fire calls, we've actually gone up about 12, almost 13 minutes. And then EMS, we've been able to drop that down 45 seconds. And that's just as the EMS system improves and it's faster, our units will be able to clear up. But we're calls now, it's advertised. We're going to push it back probably to the last part of August, first part of September. So pay attention to social media. Also, we're in charge of the town's emergency management. By no means am I saying something's coming, but now's the time to prepare. Make sure you got a plan, batteries, non-perishables, so that you're ready now versus 24 hours before.
Doug, yeah.
That you've been talking with the Onslow County EMS manager. How are those things going? Are you working some of these concerns? You've shared this with them.
This presentation with him per se, but we work, have built the relationships, work with EMS. We represent one of the agencies on the quality improvement subcommittee for EMS. So we're actually bringing this concept of data to the county-wide spectrum when it comes to EMS calls and trying to get crews and off-scene trucks here and just response in general.
As a follow-up, I'd like to know if you have a target date when, one of the things we're trying to do is hear the proposals that come from both of you and you're brainstorming together before a joint board, before the Onslow County Commissioners Board and the Swansboro Board of Commissioners as well. Do you have a target date you're trying to set for that?
No, we just briefly mentioned some meetings that might occur later in this month, but there's nothing tentatively set. The county has also reached out to do strategic plans for the fire service in general, and that's going to drive where we strategically go for the whole county, which is needed so that we're not all doing different things and we're all working together to build one team up. To answer your question directly, we don't have a date set yet, but we're working on it.
Okay. I got a saying, if you don't schedule it, it never happens. When you start out and kind of like plan backwards from that date, kind of, I guess it sets an impetus or a sense of urgency to accomplish the task. And that way projects don't go on and on and on. And then we get the data that we need, you guys get to put before us and we get to talk about that thing. How will we better partner with that other entity or that other governance? Okay, I know you got some great ideas and stuff. I've seen some, we've talked about some of them, but if you want to share any of those, it'd be great. If not, that's fine.
Yeah.
You guys have any questions? All right. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you for everything you and your staff does. Okay. Next would be public hearing. We don't have any public hearing. And business non-consent would be request from Anwasa. That would be John.
Mayor, Board, good evening. This item for your consideration is a request from the Onslow Water and Sewer Board of Directors to amend their articles of incorporation The request is fairly simple and straightforward. That each one of their governmental members, boards, appoints an elected official as a representative on their board. Mr. Brown is currently our representative. What the request is seeking that each one of their members consider to amend the Articles of Incorporation. Agree to this amendment to their Articles of Incorporation. They will consider it at their November 20th, 2025 board meeting.
Anybody have any questions for John about what Amwasa is asking for? My understanding is they're just trying to look for a little bit more stability in their directors, in that you don't have people coming and going with elections, and they'll stay on the board more.
When we talked about it at the last board meeting, discussed basically to have more continuity this year. I don't get to be elected. They'll somebody else come and start all over. Somebody put 3 years. Right now, picking so many some qualifications. Am I qualified to be on the board of directors? I used to fix a lot of purification. That doesn't equate me on WASP. We can find a good engineer out here. I think that's the benefit of
2025 R10 to the Amwasa Articles of Incorporation. Is there, a motion from Joe? Is there a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so moved, and we'll sign that resolution and get it over to them. Thank you, John. Future agenda items, does anybody, Alicia will go through that for us?
Good evening again. So upcoming for August 26th, we tentatively have visitor center discussion and Miss Scent beautification efforts at that meeting. Upcoming for September 9th or 23rd, we tentatively have Flybridge CAMA land use amendment or zoning amendment, tentatively based on procedures that still have to undergo with the planning board. We do not have any other items specifically planned for September that we can think of at this time, unless the board has any items of interest they'd like to see come forward. Anyone have anything?
Anybody have anything they'd like to see on a future agenda? Is a DOD grant for, that we were applied for? That should be a relatively quick discussion, I would guess.
You want to give an update?
Oh, you can address it now?
You could give
Okay.
that right now.
That's really quick future.
So it's quiet on the Western Front. Friday was the on or about day that we were supposed to hear something if we were selected, but today was also the day that everybody was supposed to hear if they weren't selected. And I talked to Joe, and he hasn't heard anything. We haven't heard nothing, so we're taking it as a good sign, and it's probably delayed like all the other federal grants. So as soon as we know something for certain, we'll let you know, but nobody has heard anything.
All right, thank you. Anybody have anything else? I guess not.
All right. Mr. Barlow is going to go over the paperwork I just provided to you regarding.
Amendments to the zoning regulations, zoning map shall be submitted to the planning board for review and comment. If no written report is received from the planning board within 30 days of the referral, the Board of Commissioners may act on the amendment. The day of referral, in this case, is August the 5th, when the planning board originally held a hearing meeting and tabled the matter. They have scheduled another meeting for September the 2nd, which is within that 30-day window. So after September 4th, if they make a recommendation or not, don't take any action, it will automatically move. If it says basically if there's a municipal election there are some holds that we cannot consider a conditional rezoning. So our municipal picked up until the after the organizational meeting of that, following that election, which would be December the 9th. So there will be a blackout period between November the 4th, 2025 and December the 9th, 2025, where the board could not consider this matter. So just want to give you that outline of the chain of events that might transpire as we try to schedule the public hearing for Flybridge.
Anybody have any questions for John on that? Everybody's clear on it? Okay, thank you.
One other informational item. Main Street Extension was closed on Monday, but the rain has really slowed them up. They were supposed to be, don't have an update. I know they're actively working on it, but hopefully they'll get Main Street back open. This is the extension of the sewer service main for the new Bamboo Restaurant, but the sewer service is out the back on Main Street, and the sewer line's in the middle of the street, so they had to cut it and close it both directions so they can get the sewer tap in. But hopefully it'll be done by Friday.
All right, thank you. Okay, and it was be from consent. We're going to move to public comment. Do you have something, Millie? Okay. All right. We're going to move to public comment. And I want to first preface it by saying I value everything everybody has to say, and I'm not trying to put a damper on things by limiting applause and cheering. It's just to give decorum and everybody the due respect that they deserve, and respect everybody's comments and thoughts on that you had to express tonight. So please make sure you state your name and address. We'll have 5 minutes. And the first person would be Matthew Prane.
Commissioners, I handed out a couple of maps. I want to make sure you have one as a reference as well.
I'll just go. Thank you.
Okay, so good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Mayor, Commissioners. Tonight, I'm proposing to the board a recommendation for a future agenda item that aligns with the land use plan and comprehensive Parks and Recreation master plan. We've heard the term annex or incorporation. Tonight, we heard the term resident and, town and city. Along Old Hammocks Beach Road includes approximately 140 homes, many of which are valued at twice the amount of the previously referenced properties. Based on these valuations of those properties, my estimate is that the town misses out on approximately $450 in tax revenue. And that's just 200 homes. 2 million. That's 2 million of tax revenue, possibly much more. I'm not going to be looking at the property values of every home. But that's on an annual basis. So for context, right? Commissioner Brown stated at the Flybridge meeting at the Parks and Recs that if annexed in, Flybridge would contribute about $203,000 annually in tax revenue. So directly from the land use plan, page 23 of the annex, if you go through it with a fine-tooth comb, top public priority, it's listed as number 3 out of 25. The town should partner with county on incentives in adjacent areas to encourage annexing in. We have a ton of adjacent areas. Some are even in the center of the town that I would call the city of Swansboro, but they are not incorporated. So based on this guidance from the land use plan even, I recommend that the board include annexation and the associated legal procedures as an agenda item for an upcoming meeting as soon as possible. Ideally before the decision is made for Flybridge, but it sounds like we do have some time, maybe until December. So there's plenty of time for this. The potential annual tax revenue that our town is missing out on could be approximately 10 times rate in Flybridge. So my final comment is we need to follow our strategic plans and start discussing better ways of achieving our town goals outlined in the master plan and our strategic land use plan. If we need more money to achieve these goals, annexation could be a way we meet the goals as outlined in the land use plan. while not raising the growth in population through development. So thank you for listening. I'd love to see this brought up for public discussion on an agenda sometime between now and a decision's made for Flybridge. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ashley Archer. Did I? Thank you.
Ashley Gardner at 101 Longwood Drive. I'd like to start.
Gardner, I apologize.
That's okay.
I couldn't read it.
I get that a lot. Should have been a doctor. I'd like to start by thanking the Board of Commissioners comment during this meeting. I appreciate that there is time allotted in the agenda to speak, ensuring to keep within confines of the posted times and processes. Respecting the policies of the town in which you wish to engage is part of respecting the town itself. This is not to say that we cannot advocate for change, but that we should not expect change simply because we want it. When we do wish for policies to change, the onus is on those seeking that change to demonstrate that this change is for the betterment of the community, not simply because they want them. Similarly, prior to purchasing my home, I diligently reviewed the policies and regulations governing the property. I learned that based on zoning and HOA guidelines, there were certain things I couldn't do to this home I worked so hard for. If I wanted to paint it bright purple, open my property up to boarding dozens of horses, or bulldoze the house and build a toilet paper factory, I decided that these were reasonable concessions and I purchased the home. However, I did not then petition my HOA or local government to have these policies and then amended. Now, pursue these endeavors, but more importantly, I doubt I would have been able to demonstrate a net gain to my community as a whole as a result of such change. Unfortunately, it appears that Flybridge has a different perspective on how change should be implemented. Purchase. They knew this property was not zoned for what they wanted to do. As I used to tell my son when he was a toddler, because I want to is not typically a good argument for affecting change. Housing here is unattainable to anyone looking to come to the area. I'm here to tell you that housing in Swansboro is affordable. I'm a single mother and a social worker. My professional path was, as many of you may have guessed, not one I chose for the hedge fund manager level pay scale. I was able to purchase a home here in 2023. Having lived in the area for 5 years at the time, I knew there was no other place I wanted to be. I could have purchased a home in Jacksonville for far less and had less of a commute to work, but it was the quaint community that made picking up a second job and saving a little longer before purchasing worthwhile. Increasing the population of any community places a strain on the existing infrastructure and environment, especially when increasing by as much as 25% in one fell swoop, and this situation is no different. In reviewing the existing land use plan, two of the goals really struck me. The first being, quote, preserve and enhance Swansboro's charming coastal character. And the second being, foster growth that sustains and enriches the community. This plan, as I understand it, was implemented after a year of due diligence for the needs of the community, with open input from the community itself. An appropriate needs assessment was completed, and the current plan is a result of those efforts. I'm grateful for the time and effort put into that plan. And I implore you, please do not allow these noble goals and well-thought-out plan to be altered by a simple argument of, because I want to. I've seen the cost of unfettered development. I moved here from Long Island. I could practically see the cartoon dollar signs in the eyes of local politicians in those towns that chose unrestricted development, all while citing the benefits of increased tax revenue. I felt the strain of their greed on the roads, in the healthcare system, and in our schools. I did not leave Long Island due to rising costs of living. I left Long Island because rapid growth erodes at the peace of our communities. It strains not only our infrastructure, our sense of community itself. For those of you who aren't social workers and don't find my warm and fuzzy observations compelling, allow me to give you another consideration. Onslow County had an influx of $412 million in 2023 due to tourism. I was unable to find an exact breakdown of where those dollars were spent, but I feel fairly confident that they weren't people traveling to see the shiny strip malls of Western Boulevard. People love this town, and they will spend their hard-earned money to enjoy it, but not if we allow 24 to become another parking lot of a thoroughfare and lose sight of what makes this community special. I understand that the Flybridge development is not on the agenda tonight, but I know some things are important enough to talk about anytime there is an opportunity to
their own lots. What I have just learned in the last few days is that there is the potential for another minimum of about 448 additional houses in Zillow. Haven't found it, but it is down Queens Creek Road, just after, we always call it Odom's Curve, but technically it's another property there, but it entails like 41 acres. So that's another potential for a lot of traffic, a lot of children. Again, overwhelming what we have right now. There's no contracts in place, but the potential is there for additional development and additional overwhelming of our current resources. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. I have just shared information about the Flybridge project without making any comment, pro or con, just to provide information to the community on the various Swansboro Facebook pages. I think there's 4 or 5 of them. Every person, well, let me rephrase that. Not one person has ever said they were in favor of it. And I've had a lot of responses on those pages. Not one person has been in favor. Some are adamant, no, let's not do this high-density development. I just ask you to consider what the will of the people is, what
East of Queens Creek Road, and there are 324 apartments, not 306. No traffic count was of 2 and 4 in the afternoon. I also stated that the intersection of 24 and Belgrade-Swansboro Road was notated as non-signalized. That was a mistake on my part. The intersection was correctly shown in the report to be non-signalized, and it's Belgrade-Swansboro Road and Swansboro Loop Road. I apologize for that error. My second item is somewhat related, an omission, if you will. But on the current Carolina commercial contractor site, Flybridge's build is filling a housing gap. In fact, and I quote, "Without new housing, these vital members of our workforce are forced to relocate to Jacksonville." That's a stretch, to say the least. I guess that the communities of Hubert, Maysville, Stella, Cedar Point, Cape Carteret, Emerald Isle, and Pelletier are non-existent. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, and the last one is Tom Ferrati. Okay, all right. So I would like to extend an offer to anyone else that would like to speak. If you do, just raise your hand. And okay, yes, please come up, sir, and state your name and address, and just speak into the microphone. Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much. Todd Gardner, 304 Limbaugh Lane, Swansboro. I promise I won't repeat everything I said at the meeting on the 5th, but I just wanted to add a couple of things to that. I think, you know, we're all well aware that growth in any community is inevitable. I think we also need to be realistic that it doesn't go on forever. It never does. And for anyone that's been entrusted with handling something as important to the future of our community as a land use plan, I just am asking you to remember and how big a responsibility that is, and think about how things might go. Let development proceed without limits, and where we might want those limits. And I wanted to just add a couple of little personal observations for the drop-off and pickup lines to extend out onto Route 24. That wasn't acceptable, but it was happening every day. They said if we pulled up for our hour-long wait to drop off or pick up our children, and the line extended out to 24, that we should go and park in one of the local businesses and stay there and wait for the line to go down. I wonder how those business owners or having infrastructure keep pace with the rate of development that is being permitted. And I just think that we should be looking at that. I understand there's going to be growth, but if we're not keeping pace with our infrastructure, maybe we need just a little bit. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. Does anybody else have? I see a bunch of hands. Everybody wants to come up and talk. I really appreciate y'all cooperating and going along with that. I don't like to have to say things like that, but I just wanted to make sure we are respectful to everyone. So yes, please come up and state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Laurent Mayer. I live at 220 River Reach Drive. And as Mr. Eckendorf knows, I live with my beautiful wife over here, Meredith, who he considers an activist and a zealot, right? But it's well over $1,000 a person. Now, one of the arguments I've heard about Flybridge is, oh my gosh, $200,000 is going to help enrich the town. We're going to be ahead of the game here. If you take the population of Flybridge and assume it to be 500, right, which is conservative, and you're increasing your tax by $200,000, what's the cost per person? Oh, and my calculator. Well, $200,000 divided by 500 is not anywhere near $1,000, right? So you're actually going to be imposing more resources on the town on a per person basis to support Flybridge. The argument that you're making, some of the commissioners have made here, that the tax money is going to enrich the town, it's going to benefit the town, is not true. You can also look up studies. There's been plenty of studies that residential does not necessarily help out the budgeting of the town. It's usually large businesses, not Walmart, because that's an imposing on the town.
Reminded of that. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, anybody else? All right, so that's, okay, yes, ma'am, go ahead. Yeah, just state your name and address at the microphone, and it's really, we can't really.
No, but it's something I would like you guys to
Yes, ma'am.
think about, and maybe you can get back to us at the next meeting, because apparently there's going to be a county in Hubert. And I come and I listen, and I hear what the fire department requests, and they were talking about a ladder truck. My question is, do we need this ladder truck? Because we're looking at these large developments like Flybridge that is a big apartment complex. Is that why we need this ladder truck? Because that's a lot of money to put in for for a ladder truck because of a development. And the second question I have is, I've heard several people say about a traffic study and how it wasn't done at certain times. And to me, it's a little biased if the development does their own traffic study. Something that could change the character of our town. Should we not consider the same way you're considering changing the CAMA plan for rezoning? Shouldn't we also consider the traffic and put our hard-earned tax dollars into our own study, an independent study that shows how the traffic patterns are? Not something that is fueled by a development that wants to come in looking out for the people that voted you guys into place. You guys can make a big difference here, and some of you have, but the difference needs to be positive. And we all love this town. Please don't allow the character to change for a few dollars and not look at the full consequence of our actions. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Okay. Yep. Okay, yes, sir, name. All right, so we'll close the public comment section then, and we'll move to manager's comments. So, Mr. Barlow, don't have any comments? All right. Board comments, so we'll start down with Pat as usual.
Good evening. Staff that are here, thank you for what you do every day, all day. It's truly appreciated. And citizens, so much again for coming out and showing your support in whatever you decide. It's appreciated that you voice your comments and your concerns because we do listen to you. So continue to show up and share your thoughts. Thank you.
Yeah.
First of all, thanks to the town staff. You guys do a great job. As you know, I say that every meeting, and it's not just cliche. It's true. and I appreciate what you do. Thanks to the board. And for the citizens for being here and letting us know how you feel, my hope is it's not just going to stop at this topic. No matter what the topic is, no matter what we're talking about that meeting, even if it doesn't get you going, come anyway. You never know, because a lot of times I'm finding out informed about how the process works and the steps that need to go along with everything. And if you come to those meetings that aren't part of your topic, you might find that out instead of having to go online and look through 20,000-page statutes that are out there. So I hope you all come back and of how you feel about a subject. Respect the other people when they're talking, which everybody did great tonight. Thank you. And, we'll make decisions. A lot of times, sometimes our decisions aren't liked, but, you move forward. So please keep coming back. Please keep letting us know. And also for me personally, please email me. My email address there's stuff out in the back that has my email address. You can go on the town's website, know how you feel. So no matter what the topic is. Thank you.
All right, Doug.
Yeah, hey, good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming out tonight. Obviously, the staff does a great job in preparing, teeing up these meetings for us, and I thank you for that. Hey, Chief, I just want to ask one question about your performance thing. The Crown Point fire you mentioned in there, I look forward to these meetings very much every other Tuesday, and just happy to be here. But thanks, guys, appreciate it.
Thank you, Doug. Okay.
Thank you, staff. Thank you, citizens, for coming out. I appreciate it. Kind of go back to what, getting yourself informed, making sure that you read the land use plan. I've read it twice now. Well-written document, by the way. Very, very good on the grammar and all the English. A little flowery sometimes when we talk about tearing up the middle of Highway 24 and putting this. I'm not going to defend my thought on it right now. When I hear talk about the way the money is going to divide out, I think that's a very simplistic way of doing it, and I think you are misleading a lot of people. It's not your turn to talk, bro. Okay. So, just think about how they divide that money out. So, know how to clear a room. That's all I got. Thank you for coming. Matt, thank you for making your presentation. Y'all have a great day.
All right, Tamara.
Thank you to the staff. Chief, thank you for keeping us up to date. Board, residents, thank you for coming out, always, telling us how you feel. Phone calls, emails, keep them coming, we'll answer them one by one. See you soon.
Okay. All right. The usual thank yous to the staff, town manager, clerk, department heads, and their staffs. They all do an exceptional job every day with the tight budget that they operate on. And thank you all for coming out. Again, like everybody's echoed, when everybody comes out and speaks, there's a lot of different perspectives that may not be brought to light when you do talk. It's good to hear, and that's the only way as a community we can come hopefully to a resolution that is satisfactory. It's never going to be completely satisfactory, but it's as satisfactory as possible. So I value each comment that was made, and I heard some perspectives tonight that maybe I hadn't thought about, maybe some of the other commissioners hadn't thought about. So it's always good to get those perspectives, and so don't ever hesitate to call us like Joe all. I'm going to reiterate what they said, my phone number and emails on the website. It's on card out in the lobby in the foyer. So I think you'll find that I'll get back to you in a very timely manner. So please reach out to any of us. But thank you for the different perspectives. That will end the board comments, and we'll probably go into a closed session now. And that closed session, I'm going to need a recommended action, a motion to enter closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege, and see what we have to say when we come back. Thank you so much for everyone coming out. Okay, so we came out of closed session with nothing to report. So with that being said, I'd like to get a motion to close regular session.
So moved.
Second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Meeting adjourned.